And welcome to the Melbourne Catholic website or whatever social media platform you're viewing us on. Shane Healy is my name, and today I'm with Roger O'Halloran. Now, Roger is the Executive Director of Palms Australia. Wonderful organisation. He's visiting us here in Melbourne, and I thought, Roger, let's have a chat.
Sure, that's great. Thanks,
Let's have a chat.
Yeah.
Tell us about Palms Australia, what work it does, how it began, etc.
Yeah, okay. Well, it began in 1961. There's an organisation in Sydney called the Paulian Association, and they decided that a lot of the work they were doing in Sydney was good, but there was more to do elsewhere. And they looked at Papua New Guinea in the first instance, and they said, we should be engaging there with lay missionaries. So they created this program called PALMS, which is the Paulian Association Lay Missionary Secretariat at the time.
Okay. Yeah.
So there's a lot of meaning and misunderstanding in all of those words. And today we talk about PALMS opening our hands to the world. Palms together, palms being something that makes us connect to others, and it's where we send people to meet the requests of communities who are looking to try and reduce poverty by building their skills and capacities, and we engage volunteers who are teachers or doctors or nurses, etc. They're going to places still, Papua New Guinea, but also East Timor, Ethiopia, Kenya, Tanzania, South Africa, they're into the Pacific, in Samoa, Kiribati, and we've got requests in Myanmar at the moment. So so we're looking for people.
We're essentially talking lay missionaries.
Exactly, yeah, they're lay missionaries. I mean, some of them don't. I mean, all humility probably suggests I don't really know that I'm a missionary, but I'm willing to go and be what I can be for others, and certainly that in our terms makes them that. But I don't know. It's one of the words that people have a little bit of uncertainty about. In fact, one of the parts of our preparation is to try and bring them to an understanding of what that means today, and it does mean something completely different from when Palm started. So it's more about engaging in dialogue with people, learning from one another, mutual benefits being identified, growth in both the community that you go to work with and in yourself being something that's important. Seeing Jesus in the face of others, in the face of the poor, as Francis calls us to do so much. So, and being with people who live lives of great simplicity and are resilient, and then I've got a lot to teach us. So our volunteers going out today go out really kind of as pilgrims as much as anything else. They come back somewhat prophetically able to talk to us about the lives of others and the ways that maybe we live in excess, and not only can they do that when they come back, they can do that while they're out there. So we can connect communities here to communities where the volunteers are working overseas.
Well, if you're one of the thousands and thousands of people who are watching our Melbourne Catholic website from time to time, and we have some wonderful people that we interview, Roger's just the latest in a long line, and you're getting a bit interested in what he's got to say here, maybe something's ticking in your brain that one of my kids, or maybe I myself, might have a bit of a pull to some lay missionary work. What then is the process, Roger, for someone who might get a little bit motivated by this?
Well, we've got a website, of course, and it's a pretty easy one, actually. So I'll give you www.palms.org.au. So it's got their tabs to take you to volunteering opportunities. We've got about 37 opportunities up there at the present time in all of those countries that I mentioned, and there are other opportunities we haven't even got up there because we're kind of hoping to fill those first. But so there's requests for all sorts of people in business, people with skills in trades, agriculture, all sorts of areas. So it really is open to anybody. And look, most of the people we're getting these days are coming out of their retirement time. They're actually people who have got all the wisdom of a life's experience in their career, in life generally. They're they're probably used to working with things in a more simple way and therefore fit right into the communities that they go to much more easily. Some people coming out, used to all the gadgetry that we've got available to us in our workplaces now, struggle a little bit, but they're valuable contributors as well, and they certainly learn a great deal when they're in placement. So you go to the web page, there's an inquiry form there. We'll respond depending on what who you are, and give you an application form from there.
So I'd like to pick up, Roger, in terms of someone who's gone to the website and has got a bit interested, and I'll just try and ask the obvious questions that someone in that situation might ask, and that is, what's the process from there? How difficult is it then to take me from interested to actually doing this work?
Well, it's difficult for us. I mean, there's a lot of people who are interested, but it is not an easy thing to do. People have got to pick up for a couple of years generally. It's the request time that the communities overseas identify they need someone for. Someone going for less than a year is really just learning a lot about what happens in that community, how they live, understanding the culture, and after about 6 months they've got something valuable to offer, and if they're there for a year, 5 months later they're on their way home.
Right.
So the second year is when people really put in. Now that seems daunting to a lot of people here, it's well understood that is. So we want you to, though, discern over time, to think about how you could potentially do it, to look at the barriers that might exist and to try and overcome them, and we'll help you through that process. We have a great deal of support through the process, and the diocese supports some funding for us to take you through an orientation course, which is a weekday, a whole week living in, and we work with others who are going away and thinking about going away. Right. It's a great opportunity to process the ideas you have about going away, even if you haven't confirmed at that stage. And so beyond that, then, people have to make up their minds. We've offered them placements probably in different parts of the world, and they have to think about how they might fit in there, and we put them in contact with the communities who are making requests, and they can talk to them. So a long process for discernment can happen, although some people have been away before and some people have travelled the world and have got a kind of an understanding of what they're going to do. They can, come on board and 3 months later they're in placement.
Yeah, so, sure.
Yeah, there's different situations.
And I'd love at some stage to maybe chat on our Melbourne Catholic website to someone who's returned from a placement, someone who's come back to Melbourne, and if you'd be kind enough to maybe send them in our direction, that would make for a fascinating interview.
We certainly can. There are a number.
What are the qualities you reckon embody someone who goes away and has what you'd call a successful placement and comes back motivated and feels like they've really done something terrific?
Yeah, I think it's not having overly great expectations of saving the world.
Yeah.
If you have those expectations, you're probably going to feel a little disappointed that you haven't been able to do that. You're going to work and engage in a small community. Most of Palm's volunteers, unlike volunteers sent from many other agencies, go to the rural and remote areas where the opportunities have been least. But the contact with the outside world is also very small. So building a relationship with these people is very important, and that takes time. And I think if you go with that mindset, that you're going there to build relationship and to learn, first of all, and then perhaps see where your skills are going to apply here and how you're going to build them around the kind of activities that they're doing. And you get all this on a conditions that serves as a position description before you go, but there's nothing that tells you what to expect. There's just nothing anyone can do until you're there. So be willing to go, take a fair bit of time and just really become quite relaxed into the situation, I suppose, is important. Yeah.
Have you done it yourself, Rob?
Yes, indeed.
Did you love it?
I did. I mean, it was a struggle at different times, but certainly I did. It was a great, fulfilling thing to be involved in. I went to Samoa and I trained teachers there at the Don Bosco Technical Centre, and some of them have gone on to be teachers, and one has gone on to be a principal at the centre.
Wonderful.
So I'm well pleased that the outcomes of the work, that the impact of the work over time is really something important in those communities.
So, folks, the website is www.palms.org.au.
Yep.
And Roger, lovely to have you here in beautiful Melbourne.
Yeah.
And wonderful work you're doing.
Yeah.
I hope lots
Thank
of
you.
people are inspired by hearing you today.
Yeah.
And you get lots of inquiries.
Yeah, thanks very much.
Lovely to meet you.
Excellent. Thank you.
Roger O'Halloran, everyone. He's the Executive Director of Palms Australia.
Great. Thanks, Shane.